Hi, I'm Geoff Kersey. In this DVD I'm going to show you lots of different tips and techniques to help you with your watercolour landscape painting. In this example of painting water, I'm going to show you how I'll give the impression of light reflecting on the surface of the water by using a method called wax resist. I've taken a piece of candle and using a craft knife I've cut one edge away so that I've got a flat area to lay against the paper. And I'm just running this across the water area. It is a little bit hit and miss because you can't see what you're doing. Until you apply the paint, you can't see what's there. And what it's doing is going to make certain areas of the rough surface of the paper resistant to the paint. I've mixed up the same colours again that I used in the background so I can get quite accurate looking reflections. And I'm just going to take a number 10 brush and start by wetting the whole of this water area. And you can feel as you're adding the water now where the paper is resisting it because of the wax laying on the surface. It's important when you do this to use rough paper. You definitely need that texture on the paper to get this effect. Now in the sky here I used a bit of cobalt blue with rose madder. So I've got that now to put into the water area. Running it along, and you can see in some areas it takes to the paper and lies there on the surface, and in others it resists it and rests on the top. Running that across there. And then so that we can get a feeling of the reflection of that bit of green on the bank, we'll put a touch of that in both sides, still leaving a tiny little bit of white under the bank. There's a little bit of brown in there, some burnt sienna and cobalt blue. Both sides of that. Bit more of that green across in the distance there, a little bit stronger. And a bit more of the brown, burnt sienna and cobalt blue again. And then a bit of the rich dark green in these fir trees, and that's a mixture of ultramarine blue, orioline and a little touch of burnt sienna. And just to sort of get that feeling of reflection from the dark green, I'm sweeping some of these in from both sides. And you can see how where that wax is on the paper, it leaves that little bit of sparkle in the water. Let's just mix some more of the cobalt blue and rose madder, just to put a bit more of that across the bottom. And just to help with that reflection in the water, I've got the 1/2 inch flat brush again, which is clean and damp. Not wet through, just damp. And I'm just going to do a little bit of that dragging down to emphasise the fact that the water is almost, apart from the ripples disturbing the surface, the water is still. Okay, we'll leave that to dry. Now that that's dry, I'm just going to enhance the effect of the light on the water with some opaque white. I've got a damp number 4 brush, and let's start in the distance with a few little lines and marks, just giving the effect of a broken surface reflecting the bright light. Maybe help that little line under the edge there. And you can see how that just builds on what we've already started with the wax resist. Build a few ripples in amongst the white paper and a few amongst the darker paper. Maybe a little bit into the foreground as well, just to give the impression of a disturbed surface. And you need to, when you do this, you need to make sure you really do work on a level. One thing about water, it always finds a level. So if your little ripples, etc., slope downhill, then it just really ruins the effect. So you really do have to check that you're working level. So that's finished.